Cough is a protective reflex.
Cough is a protective reflex.
Mm, I don't know why for that one was having. So cough is a protective reflex. It's not a disease. Some persons think that when they cough is a form of disease. No, cough is a way of your body trying to clear out things that wants to get into your respiratory tract, things that are not supposed to get into your respiratory tract. Because our respiratory tract, the only thing that is meant to pass through it is air, not food, not water, only air. So when any substance tends to pass through your respiratory tract, the first mechanism that your body responds to is to trigger a cough reflex. And a cough reflex is an involuntary action in the sense that you don't even think of it self. You don't think of it. Although cough can be voluntary and involuntary also. But when it comes to cough reflex is an involuntary action because anything that is a reflex is an automatic, rapid, involuntary response to a stimulus. Because for something to have a reflex, there must be a stimulation, right? There must be a stimulus, something that stimulated it. So a reflex, sorry, I my life before I wasn't people couldn't hear me, so I have to start the life afresh. So cough is a defense reflex. So it can be voluntary, it can be involuntary, but majority of times cough is involuntary. I can just decide to cough like I can cough now. This is voluntary. And each part of it, you should know that the one that could the part of the brain that controls the involuntary action is different from the part of the brain that controls the voluntary action. Like now, as I cough, the part of the brain that controls this gift shocker. Thank you for joining my life. I don't know if you can hear me clearly now, because last time I was talking, I wasn't nobody was hearing me and I did not know. Can you hear me clearly now? Just say yes so that I will know. So cough is not a disease. Cough is not a disease, it's a protective defense reflex because the way this our like say throat is structured. We have the esophagus. Yeah, I hear you, princess. Thank you so much. I appreciate. So we have the esophagus, we have the larynx. The esophagus is where food enters when you eat through your mouth. It's where food enters That's that long pipe to your stomach. So another opening also is where air enters, and that part of the this thing is called the larynx. So the opening is called the gluteus. So when you eat or maybe you drink water, that place closes, it slices down, redirecting food or anything like water to your esophagus, where it enters to your stomach. But when you breathe air, because air, when you breathe in through your nose, it passes through your mouth, from your mouth to your pharynx, that's your throat, from your pharynx to your larynx, from your larynx, then it enters through your trachea, from your trachea, it enters to your bronchi, from your bronchi, then your lungs, you understand? So the only thing that is supposed to enter through the respiratory tract is only air. Is only air. So when any particles or maybe anything at all tends to enter through this respiratory tract, the body responds by triggering a cough reflex. If there's no cough reflex, you see yourself choking because that water or whatever you ate was the larynx. Okay, the larynx, they call it the voice box. So in the larynx, you get the epiglutis, you get the gluteus. Now the gluteus is a opening that allows air to enter through the lungs, like from your gluteus to your trachea, from your trachea to your bronchi, then it gets to your lungs. You understand? So that is the larynx. So the only thing that is permitted to enter through that larynx or make your gluteus is just air. So if any other thing like smoke or dust or even any microorganism like bacteria, because bacteria is not supposed to enter. Okay, thank you. I so much appreciate. You can still ask any question you want, anyone you do not understand. So if anything tends to enter into that respiratory tract, the body responds by triggering a cough reflex. So a cough reflex is involuntary, it's automatic. Sometimes you don't even think of it. It happens. Like when you drink water and you tend to choke, I can tell you for sure that you don't think of it. Your body responds immediately by trying to cough it out. Because if you don't cough it out, it can enter into your lungs. And when it enters into your lungs, it can obstruct your breathing, can cause difficulty breathing, and it can even cause death. So anything that tends to obstruct the airways, the body tries to trigger a reflex, which is coughing, to bring it out. We also have sneezing reflex, but majorly we am just focusing on cough. So cough can be involuntary, can also be voluntary, but majority of times cough is involuntary. You don't think of it. Why for voluntary? Because you can just decide to, I just want to cough. Like now I can just decide to cough. So the area that controls this voluntary action, which is the cough, I just cough now, is different from the area that controls involuntary cough. This all of them still the brain controls everything. Like this area now that controls involuntary cough is the cerebral cortex, the area that controls thinking. Then the area that controls this involuntary cough reflex, because there are sensory receptors in your respiratory tract, in your trachea, in your throat. There are sensory receptors there. So these sensory receptors, their job is to detect if there's any irritant that tries to escape into your airways, into your respiratory tract. That irritant can be anything, can be dust, can be smoke. That's why sometimes when some persons when they inhale something like smoke, they start coughing. Can be any microorganisms, can be bacteria. Bacteria can trigger a cough reflex. So if there's any irritation, if there's any irritation along these cough receptors, sensory receptors, that is located in your throat, which is your pharynx, your trachea, your bronchi. The body sends signals through a nerve, that's your vagus nerve, sends signals to your brain. See, there's an irritation there. Thank you so much. The body sends signals through a sensory nerve to your brain that, see, there's a irritation going on there. So the brain will now decide, is it necessary that I trigger a cough or not? Is it significant enough? So after the brain processes these whole signals, it sends the signal back also through a nerve. So what this nerve, the motor nerve stimulates the muscles, your abdominal muscles, your intercostal muscles, that's your all these ribs muscles along your chest area, your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is located beneath the intercostal muscles here. So for you to cough, for a cough to happen, the intercostal muscle will contract, your abdominal muscle will contract, your diaphragm will relax. So that contraction helps to build pressure in your respiratory system, helps to build pressure so that when you cough out, you open the epiglottis, there is forceful explosion of air. So coughing is simply a forceful explosion of air through the respiratory tract, and that air can come with mucus. So cough is not a disease. Some persons think that when they're coughing is a disease. No, cough itself is not a disease. It's just like the body trying to defend itself when something tends to enter. Cough can be a symptoms, can be pointing to your body that something is wrong somewhere. Because some symptoms, some kind of issues in our body, like pneumonia. When you have pneumonia, you tend to cough, right? That's to tell you that something has entered your respiratory tract that is not supposed to be there. So that coughing, that constant coughing normally experience is a way of your body trying to remove, to clear out your airways. Because if your airways is not properly cleared, you experience difficulty breathing. You might experience difficulty breathing because the airways is supposed to be cleared continually. So this is the way our body defend itself against anything that tries to obstruct the airways, the respiratory tract, by triggering a reflex, which is cough. Another reflex is sneezing. So it can be voluntary, it can be involuntary, but 90% or maybe majority of times people cough is involuntary. You are not aware of it, it just happens. Imagine you trying to choke, you drink water or maybe you ate any food and you try to choke. The first response your body will do is to make you to try to cough. So you won't even have time to process anything, because it's a reflex, it's an automatic response to a stimulus because something is trying to enter into your airways. So your body tends to respond by triggering a reflex. So that part of the brain, the part of the brain that controls this cough reflex, is the medulla oblongata. So the sensory nerve, which is the vagus nerve, carries these signals to your brain stem, because your brain stem is made of the pons, the midbrain, and the medulla oblongata. Inside the medulla oblongata, you have the control system, which inside the control system, which you find the cough center. So the cough center responds, process this information, and reply through a nerve also, which we call the afferent nerve, also called the motor nerve. So this motor nerve is the one that responds through your muscles. Before there will be any action, like this action I'm trying to move my hand, is the motor nerve that is initiating it. The motor nerve will stimulate your muscles to give a response, while your sensory nerve sends the signals to your brain. For instance, now, if maybe I have a cut in my hand, if maybe there's a cut in my hand, the nerve that carries this interpretation to your brain, for your brain to interpret that something happens here, that's will carry signals to your brain. Your brain will interpret this thing and respond is when you start feeling pain. That response is when you start feeling pain. That is why during surgery, they normally give this anesthesia. So this anesthesia, what it does is that it blocks those signals, those nerve signals that will carry this pain. Even if the brain cannot interpret, that's why you don't even feel pains. You understand? You don't feel pains because those nerve signals that initiate that pain you feel. So in cough reflex, the motor nerve are the one that carries the response from your brain and initiate the response to the muscles. Now, when they initiate the response to your muscles, your intercostal muscles will contract, your diaphragm will relax, your which other muscles again, your abdominal muscle will contract, and there will be expulsion of air, which brings about coughing. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment below about coughing. So cough is not a disease. When you cough, just know that your body is trying to clear out things that are not meant to be in your airways. So that is it for coughing. So one thing you need to understand again about coughing is that it can be voluntary, it can be involuntary. So the cerebral cortex is the one that controls the voluntary action, like the thinking. So if you intentionally cough, that's voluntary, right? It's not a reflex. There was no irritation, there was no sensory signals to your brain. It's just that you just want to cough. So the part of the brain that controls voluntary cough and the ones that control involuntary cough are different, but it's still the brain that controls each type. I can see you. Hi. Sorry, last time I just have to start my life afresh. Thank you for telling me that you can't hear me. I don't know why, but my mic was not smooth. My mic was not mute. So I don't know why anytime I start, even yesterday, I have to restart my life again. Not like I'm using a microphone. Can you hear me now? I have to restart the life again. So cough is not a disease, it's a protective reflex that our body tends to help to remove anything that tends to obstruct the airways down there. So just know that you have two opening down there in your throat. In your throat, all these areas of the body they have names, but if I don't want to bore you with the names. No, I'm a clinical physiologist. I'm a clinical physiologist. So I'm just explaining the. I don't know if you know what that is. So there's two opening here. One is the one that takes food and water, which is your esophagus, drugs. So the esophagus is where food, water passes through, and it's behind, it's posterior, it's behind. Why the one that air passes through is anterior, is at the front. It's an assignment. Go and check it up. Clinical physiology, just type it. So the one that air passes through is the one that stays, that is at the front, which is your larynx. Inside your larynx is located in the larynx. Inside your larynx, you find the epiglutis and the gluteus. So this epiglutis closes anytime you eat food. It closes, it slices down. If it doesn't slice down, that food will enter How do you spell it? Okay. Are you with your phone there? Let me spell it for you. But you know how to spell clinical, right? Phy. It's spell clinical first, then physiology, physiologist. Have you spelled clinical? Okay, let me spell physiologist. Physio. Have you written it? Lo. Have you gotten it? You say okay. Okay. Have you gotten the spelling? Or should I spell it afresh? Okay. I don't know if you have gotten it. So there's two opening along the throat area. One that takes food and water and the one that takes air. For the one that takes air, food is not meant to pass through that area. Water is not meant to pass through that area. Anything that passes through that area except air obstructs your respiratory tract, and that can cause difficulty breathing, can cause choking, can even cause death. So the body tends to defend itself by triggering a reflex. We can call it sneeze reflex. We have sneeze reflex. We have cough reflex. So when things tends to enter into your respiratory tract, the you're back. So what did you see? You're back, right? I'm sure you googled it. So what did you see? You can tell me what you saw there. Just write it down in the comment below. What's by the time now in South Africa? Now is I don't know if we share the same time. Now is 7. I don't know if you can see my phone. Now is 7:58 a.m. over here in Nigeria. What's by the time over there in South Africa? So cough is a defense reflex. It's not a disease. So when you tend to cough, it's a way of your body clearing out 8:50. That means you guys are 1 hour ahead of us because you see 59. Now is 59. That means South Africa is an hour ahead of Nigeria AM because now it's still AM. Just 1 hour ahead. Wow, that's nice. I thought it would be like 7 hours since the flag of South Africa is down and Nigeria is kind of around. Nigeria is West Africa. So cough is a defense mechanism and not a sickness. Although cough can be a symptoms also. It's like your body telling you that something is wrong. There are like if you have pneumonia, you tend to cough, right? So that's kind of a way of your body signaling that something is wrong here that needs to go out. That needs to go out. And the only way the body can respond also is by triggering a reflex, which is cough. So that is it for it. So anything that obstructs the airways can also obstruct the way you breathe, can also obstruct your breathing. So when you breathe, air travels from your nose, it travels to your mouth. For your mouth, it travels to your pharynx. Your pharynx is also known as your throat. From your pharynx, it travels to your larynx. Your larynx is where you get the epiglottis, which is like a door opening to the glottis, where air passes through. From your glottis, it gets to your trachea. Your trachea, if you have seen a diagram of the lungs, you see that the lungs has something like a tree, two bronchi, and one long stuff, just like a pipe holding a tree. So that long stuff there is the trachea. You understand? Is the trachea, your this thing, your windpipe. They call it windpipe. Is a trachea. So air passes through your trachea to your bronchi. From your bronchi to your bronchus, then it gets to your alveolus. To your alveolus, where gaseous exchange takes place. So anything that obstructs this movement can hinder breathing. And the way your body responds is by triggering a cough reflex. Did you have a 1K play button? What does that mean? I don't What does 1K play button mean? I don't know. Do you have a 1K play button? Is it an app? I don't know. What does it mean? Just explain to me. What does 1K play button means? 1K play button. I've not heard of it before. So anything that obstructs that movement, that movement of air from your nose to your mouth, because it moves from your nose, and when you breathe now, air enters from your nose to your mouth to your throat, which is your larynx, from your larynx to your tract, from your pharynx, which is your throat, to your larynx, from your larynx it enters your trachea, from your trachea to your bronchi, from your bronchi to your bronchus. Bronchus just like a smaller ones. Then your alveolar. Anything that obstruct that passage of air down there, the body responds by triggering a reflex, which is cough reflex, exposure, forceful exposure of air to bring out any obstruction. Can be mucus, can be anything. So the body responds by trying to tend to bring out forceful anything that tries to obstruct your respiratory tract. Okay, it's when you have 1,000 subscribers. I have over 3,000 subscribers. It's still this YouTube channel. I just opened it. It hasn't been up to a year now. I think my YouTube channel is how many months now? When did I open this channel? I think June, July is when I opened this channel last year. So my YouTube channel is not up to a year now. I have 3,000 subscribers. So so is when you have 1,000 subscriber. I'm over 1,000 subscribers. Can check my channel. It's over 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to build the channel more. That's why I try my best to come live. Although it's somehow boring to come live and be talking to yourself, but you just have to summon the courage to do so because this is what I love doing. Growing the YouTube channel is not really easy because sometimes you just feel like giving up. But you just have to push. It's worth it. It's worth it. Honestly, it's worth it. It's worth it because that time you spend on other platform that is not, would I say paying? You use it on something that you know that will give you something, right? Like TikTok is not paying apart from gifts, so you can use that time on YouTube to build yourself from something you love on your career. So that is why someone is asking, so how do you not have a play button? The play button means it's a playlist. I have playlists, but I don't understand what it meant by play button. I think I do have a play button. Just check now. Is it playlist you mean by play button? Is it what you meant? Then what is it now? I don't get you, honestly. I don't get you. So, so I try to come live because I said let me just come like this morning on your phone search. Okay, let me search it. Let me search it. Even 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 Google search is saying is a typo error. Okay, let me read it out here. Because the question I asked is what is play button on YouTube? So the response was on YouTube, the term play button seems to be a misunderstanding or typo, that's typo error. You are likely referring to the play button. Here's what that means. The YouTube play button, the play button is the triangle icon on the video. When you click it, the video starts playing. It's most basic control for watching a video. Triangle icon. Is there now? Is there? Triangle icon. Okay. You will see it in the middle of a video thumbnail before it starts. At the bottom left of the video players during playback. Okay, just check now. That is wrong. Why? But that's what God is telling me. Look at it. That's what God is telling me. I don't really know what it is, but I'll just check it out after now. After I end my life, I'll go and make just check it out and see. This YouTube stuff I'm still learning. I'm not a pro. I'm not a pro. I'm still learning. You can't know it all. You understand? You can't know it all. The more every day you find new thing, you learn also. So I was talking about cough. That cough is not a disease, it's a defense mechanism because some persons mistake cough as a disease. When they start coughing, they tend to think that is a form of disease. No, it can be a symptoms, but it's a way of your body trying to clear out to remove any form of obstruction in your respiratory tract, in your respiratory system. Because if your body does not remove anything that's trying to obstruct your respiratory tract, it can cause difficulty breathing, can cause choking also. So imagine when you are drinking water. Imagine if you are drinking water and instead of the water to pass through your esophagus, it slices down to your epiglottis and enters into your lungs from your epiglottis to your trachea and enters into your lungs. It can obstruct breathing. It can even cause death. So the way the body responds immediately, because reflex, you don't even think about it. The way the body responds immediately is by triggering a cough reflex. So your body tends to remove it out by forceful explosion of air. That forceful explosion of air is what brings about that cough. So imagine if you are coughing now. You experience that you are exploding, like cough is air is coming out. You understand? Air is coming out. That forceful explosion of air is what brings about that coughing. So anything that obstructs your airways, will be it water or maybe anything that slides down mistakenly, the first defense mechanism is to trigger a cough reflex. Your body tends to remove it out. So sadly, there was a lady I know that died. She has issues with her epiglottis because It's as if she lost control of that epiglottis. Remember, the epiglottis is what closes and opens. When you eat food, it closes down, allowing food to slide into your esophagus. When you breathe air, the epiglottis opens, allowing air to enter. So in her case, that muscles there was weak. That structure there is weak. It's either opened, or maybe there's kind of neurological issue that the muscles there is not working properly. So anytime this lady eats, food normally enters her lungs. It's as if she's choking. She will cough and cough. That's why she doesn't eat where people are. She have to go inside where someone is not seeing her, because you have to bring a different bucket for her. She have to try to cough it out. Sometimes she's even scared of eating. So that is what happens when that area is tampered. If that area is tampered, food, water enters into it instead of air. When food and water enters into it, it can cause choking. I know what choking means. You don't breathe, right? Your body is trying to bring out, and if it doesn't bring out, it can cause death. So that is why people that doctors normally advise people that wants to undergo any kind of surgical operation that they should not eat. They should not eat. They should not even drink water. Some kind of operation. The reason why it's like that, because they will be unconscious. They will give them anesthesia, something like general, particularly in general anesthesia. You'll be unconscious. You will not be aware of your body. Are you going? Do it on YouTube. Are you going? No problem. No, I will search for that play button after I end my life, because 1 hour from now I'll be ending this life. So when I'm done and when I end it, I'll search for that play button. I'm just sharing it for the first time. Oh, not really for the first time. Maybe I do not really understand what it is. This YouTube stuff is sometimes I'll come back. Okay, no problem. No problem. You're welcome. I so much appreciate your presence. No problem. Thank you. So, that forceful explosion of air is what brings about that cough, you see. So, coughing is a reflex, the protective reflex. So, cough is not a disease, it's a reflex. So cough is not a disease, it's a reflex. It can be a symptoms of an underlying issues, a sickness, or maybe pneumonia. If you have pneumonia, one of the symptoms of pneumonia is also cough. You understand? So it's a way of your body protecting your respiratory system, because if the respiratory system is not protected, or if there's an obstruction of your airways, it can obstruct your breathing, can cause difficulty breathing. So this throat you see here, let me just call it throat. It has two openings. Two openings are here. We have one opening is where food and water passes through, and the other opening is where air is passes through also. We are back. You never left. Welcome back. So it has two openings where food passes through and where water passes through. Sorry, it has two open food and water passes through and where air passes through. So that place that air passes through, which is your larynx, what is meant to pass through there is just air. Anything that passes through there that is not air can trigger a reflex. And the way the body is designed to protect itself is to initiate a cough. Cough is a forceful explosion of air. It's a forceful explosion of air where, sorry, sometimes you are aware of it, sometimes you're not aware of it. Can be voluntary, can be involuntary. For voluntary is something that you don't have control over. For cough reflex that are voluntary, you don't have control over. Something that happens even without you thinking of it. In a case where it tends to choke, maybe you drank water and maybe you are eating, in the case of eating, or you drank anything that slides into your airways accidentally, your body tends to try to remove it out through involuntary actions, through cough. So cough is a defensive mechanism, not a disease. You can ask any question. You're back. Where do you go? I have some tasks to accomplish today. So when you cough, it's a way of your body trying to defend itself against anything that tends to enter. The cough is a protective reflex, although majority of times cough can be voluntary. So cough is both voluntary and involuntary. You can decide to cough, right? Like now I can decide to cough. This is voluntary. I just decided to cough. The part of the brain that controls voluntary action, like of the cough, and the one that controls involuntary are different. Like now, if maybe there's an irritation of your airways, your the sensory receptors sense if there's any irritation. Something like dust can irritate your airways, smoke can irritate your airways. Anything like whether food or even water or even microorganisms. So if there's any irritation of the airways and these sensory receptors located in your respiratory, your throat, your trachea, your bronchi, notice any form of irritation in your airways. Remember, the only thing that is supposed to pass through your airways is air. So if there's anything that tends to pass through these airways that is not air, the body responds by triggering a cough reflex. So when there's an irritation along that respiratory tract, it sends signals to your brain that something is going on here. So the brain responds by triggering a motor response because the motor nerve carries the signals from your brain to those muscles, your cough muscles, your respiratory muscles. The respiratory muscles, your intercostal muscle contract, your diaphragm relax. So when that happens, there is enough pressure build up in your lungs, your respiratory system, allowing air to be forcefully exploded out, and that is what brings about the cough reflex. So cough is not a disease.